our chamber member spotlight with two of our favorite chamber members that have come
Bet
back.
you say that to all your chamber
We do.
members. That's
We
fine.
do,
That's
we
fine.
do. To come back, they come back home. Well, one of them's come back home. But we're here at Timber Rock Lodge in Oneida, Tennessee with Ralph and Michelle Trieschmann. And let me just tell you, we have been so excited to be able to come up here. We've been waiting. I know that you all been busy since opening day. You all stayed covered up. So we are so glad you had time to sit down with us this afternoon to talk to us. But we want to know, so it's been a long journey all around for you all, right? Michelle, you're originally from Scott County. Tell us about that, and then where you went, and then how you got back home.
So I'm a Robbins girl, grew up in Robbins, and most people around know my parents, James and Joanne Walker, longtime educators in the county. So every time we're out with them, they always seem to run into people that they know. But yeah, so I grew up, graduated from Scott High. When I went to college and then ended up in graduate school in South Florida, met Ralph, and we ended up getting married down there and having our children in Florida, and work took us to Oklahoma and then eventually to St. Louis, where we were, I guess, the past 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then COVID, which changed.
I don't know if you had that around here.
A lot of,
No,
yeah.
we just went away from that whole thing.
Yeah, there was a pandemic in
We
St.
heard there
Louis.
was in other parts of the country.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So COVID changed our trajectory just a little bit. And we started looking, what was important to us, and coming home was important. And so when we came back, we were looking at just different opportunities. We tried to keep a very open mind in what we wanted to do. And we came upon this building that had been sitting here for 10 years. And it was something that we both got really excited about.
And this building being the former Barna office, for a lot of the locals know it, and they watched it evolve as Mr. Barna. They kept building the business, and you'll get into that, I'm sure, when you're talking about the layout of the building. But that's the building that we're talking about, the former Barna building.
Right. And I'm a local, so for me, this is coming back home. This is actually Ralph's first time ever, I think, living in a small town. So
Certainly one this small, but it's been wonderful. I think everybody's been super friendly once they sort of realize what I'm doing here and how I got here, and knowing her parents and Michelle has opened a lot of doors for me, and people have been just wonderful, and forgive my accent and so forth. But we've really enjoyed getting to know people in town, being part of this community, being able to provide jobs for people in this community. So while we did all this renovation over the last year and a half, we used all sorts of local contractors and all the subcontractors, everybody that was here. It was actually very interesting because many of them had actually worked for Jim Barna at one point or another. And so when they came into the building, they would say things like, "Oh, well, you see that woodwork up there? Well, I did that." Or that staircase over there? Well, Jim taught me how to build staircases, and this was one of the first ones that I had done. Things like that really made this such an interesting journey for us to learn about log homes and to learn about how they're built and put together by the people that had actually done it. Plus, it was also interesting when we had visitors like Jim Barna Jr. would come and visit us, and it made us nervous to think, here we are in his childhood home that later became the offices, for having him come in and not only appreciate what we were doing, but being grateful that we were repurposing this building for something interesting, good, and something that the public would get to see again. Plus having him tell us stories about how, he'd say that rafter over there is where I used to hide my baseball cards. Or that's, where I used to go caving and looking for things out in the backyard and things like that. It was really special. It really made this much more of a personal connection between all the way to his family, to all the employees that had worked here. People like Betty Holt, who were in the area, who actually designed much of the front half of the building that became the inn, where we've got 12 of the 13 bedrooms that make up the lodge. That she had designed that building and was available to come over, and after sizing us up a little bit to make sure that we were good people and that we had a good vision for the plan for the building, that she was able to give us insights into how the design actually was in thinking about what we were trying to do with it. That they had actually put plumbing in the foundation in a way that would allow us to convert from offices to bedrooms with private bathrooms in it, was already thought out. And so it was just it's definitely one of those hand of God kind of feelings that things were meant to be, that brought us here.
Well, and I know the community kind of feels like, because so many people did pass through as employees, or, and Mr. Barna was such a community leader, and, I think that a lot of people look at you all like you gave this back to us, because it was just kind of deteriorating. I mean, I know that you just said, I remember we were in a meeting with you and you were just like, there were holes in the roof, there was all this, where it had just been sitting how many years?
10.
We've heard 10 years that it was abandoned. So as the business shrank after Jim had died, they started to get smaller, and they actually moved out of these offices, which were really at the end and the height of things. The design offices, they had designers in here, they had salespeople in here, they had all sorts of employees working. They had shrunk down to the point where they were able to move, or needed to move, to what was the model home on site. That was one of their examples of floor plans that they sold. And so they just walked away from this building. And so it sat empty for 10 years.
So tell us, I know that you all came into the chamber when you first came back to Scott County, and you told us about, I remember sitting down and we had a great conversation, and you talking about wanting to be involved in the community and how your plan, that you were going to do this. And I'll be honest, I thought, oh, good luck.
You're not alone.
You're not the only one.
I
No,
was
we got that a lot.
excited.
Yeah.
I wanted that for Scott County, but I was like, this is a massive undertaking, and I don't know if they know, and will they be, questions that I ask are they going to be dedicated business leaders? Are they going to be community team players and all that, which you've proven all that. But when you all started, when you purchased the property and started your renovation process, you did it mid-COVID when everything, supplies were already used. Tell us a little bit about kind of what you went through with that and how long that process took. I know it took a little bit longer than you'd hoped for.
Well, I guess all told, we were involved in that process about a year and a half. When people find out that we were renovating in COVID, a lot of people are, the first thing they say is like, oh my gosh, could you even get supplies, supply chain issues. We were actually, because the building itself, we weren't building a brand new building. Obviously there were a lot of supplies that needed to come in, but it's not like we were building from scratch. We, again, tried as much as we possibly could to source locally. We had to get creative in some cases. Things that we couldn't find, okay, what's the alternate? So we really had to sort of stretch ourselves creatively in some cases. We had to tell our contractor constantly, don't tell us how much things used to be, like how much they used to cost and how much they are now. And it's like, oh, please, no.
Yeah, just 2 years ago, this would only cost X. Now it's this much. We're like, no, not.
Yeah.
Stay positive.
But it was also, honestly, I think it was an interesting time as well for our contractors and the subcontractors, because I think going into COVID, everyone was sort of in this mode of, we don't know if all of the business is going to dry up. And what happened, I think, was unexpected across the board, in that a lot of the contractors had more business than they've ever
Well, they'd
had.
been in the habit of never saying no.
Right.
So all of a sudden there were so many people asking them that they became, as I've learned the term around here, very covered up, and very busy. But I want to give a shout out to James Posey Construction, because we were given his name by our friends, and one of the reasons that we came here is one of the salespersons, another Hungarian, so Jim Barna's protege, if you will, Zoltan Urushansky, Zole, and his wife Kathy, who was a very good friend of Michelle's growing up, were the ones that sort of said, this is an opportunity, you should look at it. But then after we said, yeah, it is an opportunity, all right, how do we actually do it? Zoltan was the one who said, you need to contact James Posey. He referred to him, and I'm going to embarrass James by saying this. He says, he was an angel on earth. He's an angel on earth. You need to call James. He knows what he's doing. And so we did. And while James is not lacking for projects, he has more work than he knows what to do with. And he's worked from Nashville to Knoxville and everywhere in between. He'd be on the road. He actually looked at this as an opportunity to stay local,
To come home.
to be able to go home at night, to keep his crew home at night, who mostly his family. Right? That is the way I found that many of the crews here are family with one another, which is great. But he also, he had known James and Joanne Walker as well. And again, it was that personal touch that you find in Scott County, where somebody said, I'm going to do this because of who you are, not because you just throw money at me. That's not what it's about.
There's a trust factor, I think. I think he knew that because I was local, that I had roots here. And a lot of people, I think, they feel like maybe if he had just come through, or if somebody maybe that wasn't around here that came in, there would have, I don't know.
It would have been harder.
It would have been harder,
that
yeah,
people wouldn't have felt, but
definitely.
it would have been harder. And the
Right.
fact that James, his first job was for Jim Barna.
So it made it really special.
It made it personal
was
for
really-
him,
yeah.
right?
Well,
And so as we went through and looked at the building just before we even bought it, and had James help us to evaluate the quality of the structure, he was impressed by how much it had held up, and actually put our minds to ease a little bit about how much work would it really take to bring it back to being habitable, because it was a little rough. And it was rough to the point where some of the other local investors that might have come in and done something couldn't quite get past some of that roughness, and so they couldn't quite figure out what to do with it. And it took James's reassurances and his ability to get subcontractors to show up at a commercial level, right? So this is not just a residential facility. This needed commercial level electricians, plumbers, heat and air. All that stuff had to be top notch, and he was able to use his connections in ways that we could never have succeeded without him.
Right.
And again, I'll mention Jeff Vaughn as our electrician, and Travis Vaughn, no relation, plumber, and Shane Sexton's heat and air stuff. Without those guys and their continued support, right? If we have any issues, they're here. We're so happy to work locally, because if you do have a problem, you don't have to wait for somebody from Knoxville to come.
Right.
So
And
it's been
again,
great.
everybody had a history with this building. Every event that is held here, there are people that, they like to point, it's like, oh, my office used to be over there, or I used to do this.
Just
or I
today, we
remember
were
coming
giving
in.
tours to some
Yeah.
of the chamber members, and was told, oh, well, this I used to have in my office over there.
I knew that when I saw some of them out there, I saw, yep, that's going to be coming home to them. So now, tell us what your finished product offers to definitely all different types. You've got all different, it's a multi-purpose, and you had such elegant words to say, like how you wanted to see this and how you wanted the lodge to be looked at. So tell us what all you offer and the services and the rooms and all that.
Well, a lot of people, so at this point now, a lot of people have been here for events. We've had multiple parties and get-togethers and gatherings of all different kinds, business, personal, and so forth. So a lot of people have come here, and I think for a lot of people, they think, oh, it's only a large venue, for a party or something like that, and they're kind of surprised when they realize that we have rooms. And then they're, further surprised that the rooms are not just attached if you're having a function here, that you can rent those separately. So we consider the inn portion as like a boutique hotel. And so we've had guests to come and stay with us from all over, that are visiting the area both for pleasure and for business. And it's just been really a fascinating journey for us in meeting them and getting to know people, that are coming into our area and everything, and being able to share, what's to do around here and share our passion for the area. And then of course they're always looking around. It's like this building, and it just keeps going on and on and on and on. So that way we're kind of a touch point for people that are coming in, and we wanted to provide, an excellent service, an excellent product for them, so that we're able to showcase the county and the area, in its best light. And this being, where they lay their head at night, where they start their day and where they come back to in the evening. And so we want to provide, the best that we can for them, but also that public space that somebody locally can come in. We also have spa services downstairs, which is super
So I was
special.
going to break it down. So we call it the Timber Rock Lodge, but there's really three components currently that we offer. So there's the inn at Timber Rock Lodge, which is 13 bedrooms. So we have queen size and king size beds, and they can be adjoining suites. We've got a 2-room bedroom suite. So we figure we can sleep 29 if you took all of them. But again, you don't have to take all of them. It's not like a cabin or an Airbnb where you have to rent everything. You can come in for one night for one room, and our prices range from $125 to over $200. So reasonable, reasonable for what we offer, and competitive to other lodging in the area, and we hope unique. So there's the inn at Timber Rock Lodge, and then we have events at Timber Rock Lodge. So again, we've got multiple use spaces, whether it's business conferences, weddings, reunions, meetings, gatherings, any types of thing that you could rent. And we've got 3 different meeting spaces that you can do that in. We're in one now that we call the conservatory. Earlier today we had a chamber luncheon in the in the hall, which is also a very common area for wedding receptions have been held in there. We have the lounge, which we've recently gotten a beer license so that we can actually provide services to those that want to come up and have a party up here. We can serve them in the lounge. We've named all these rooms. The one we're in now is called the conservatory, so it's a bit like a clue board because we've got all these rooms. We've even got some secret rooms that only those that come and visit can figure out where those are. But so there's the events at Timber Rock Lodge, and then as Michelle started to mention, we've worked with a local company. I don't know if you've heard of them. It's called the Skin Clinic. Heard of them. A young, beautiful woman who got her esthetician's license and came back to Scott County as well to open her business, was ecstatic to partner with us. So we actually leased space to her because we have 12,000 square feet. And there's only so many bedrooms and so many event spaces you can have, and you still have room left over in this place. It was crazy that we said this would be ideal for not only our guests, but for our community to have this environment lend itself to spa services. And so Katie Kidd was just delighted at the opportunity to create a satellite office. So she still has the downtown skin clinic for more medical treatments, and then this is the relaxing side of things with the tranquil environment. And so they've got treatment rooms leased out in our ground garden level. And so now we have the spa at Timber Rock Lodge. So it's really great.
That is, so in that it can accommodate, just kind of touching on that, like if you had girls the weekend, and they can bring all types of services in with that, and you can, you all, it's really the sky's the limit in what you all can come. I know you had mentioned, Ralph, you got really excited about that earlier in the meeting. Super Bowl party, and I was like, yeah, I was thinking girls retreat weekend.
Well, we just had a group of ladies that were here last weekend that came, and they stayed, and they had an absolute blast, and they were, enjoying the spa activities downstairs, and they just had a lovely time, and they got to enjoy some of the local, things to do while they were in town, and it was really nice. And we had all of these ideas when we were coming into it, and we were walking the space originally, and we thought, oh, and we could do this, or oh, this could be this, or though that,
You lost a lot of sleep.
We did.
Not worrying, but imagining
getting so
the
excited.
potential.
But what has been so gratifying is that the dreams that we had when we were first walking through this building, every day now we get to live those, and we get to see people come in and use this building in a way that we had crossed our fingers and hoped that they would use it, and it's happening. And the original vision is now being realized, and so that's just so.
And further, it's sort of talking about the girls' weekends or things like that. So in partnering with other businesses, so we're not trying to do all this ourselves.
Right.
We've made space, and then we've allowed others to come into the space. So Katie has shared ideas and said, oh, I picture using some of the space and not only selling product, but having wellness weekends. So now you have a business sponsoring an entire activity and event and bringing people in to do things like that. We had another group that was in and said, what would be fantastic here is if we could set up yoga classes. Like, absolutely, let's set up yoga classes. We've had other people that come and say, oh, we need to have a painting and wine tasting event, partnering with Highland Winery. Perfect opportunity. We've been working with the Dilly Dilly, the lavender farm, and so we feature their soaps and lotions, in the bathrooms for people, and they could buy that from us. We now feature some of the bouquets from
Tapestry
Flowers. So we're really finding partnerships all over the place, and every time that we bring somebody in, somebody says, oh, and here's another thing you could do, and here's another thing you can do.
It's networking at its best.
It really is. And, we did come into this very passionate about working with the local community and building bridges and partnerships. And that's just been another really great thing about it, is that when we all work together, we can all, succeed.
Well, and that's one thing that I've noticed the few times I've got to come up here for events, is just the fact that every time you come in here, you see another company, another small business being represented, whether it's not for the party, for their catering services. And I know it's not here, it's just not just for not for the party. You have a full kitchen, and you can bring in your group to cater or whatever. But it is the spa service. It's the fact that you have the fresh flowers from Tapestry Flower Farms. It's you all really have done your homework. You went to the places that your guests would want to visit, or maybe could visit, whether it's your idea of a good time or not, you went because everybody's different and you really want to open that up to different users. And you've done your homework, but you always come back, you seem to always come back and bring a piece of that business with you to compliment them. And I think that's how a great community grows. So I think you're shining examples of that. So I know you also mentioned today that you have some nature trails that they would get now. Michelle, I know you're more a little bit reserved because you just want to you all are just new to this and you're trying to get all things worked out.
Right.
Rob, you're the dreamer.
Delusional, maybe, but certainly, I every time I look at a tree or a trail or a hillside or something like that, I just keep seeing new opportunities. So we were
I have to kind of
absolutely blessed and fortunate to be able to purchase 60 acres. So again, a lot of people had looked at the land and said, right, well, we've harvested the trees, we've dug some of the topsoil out, we've left this land, ready for somebody else to do something with. And they didn't necessarily see the things that we saw. And so we were able to put these 60 acres together, and all that we can see now are new opportunities with these hillsides and things like that become nature trails. So we've created a mile-long hiking trail loop that goes out, and you can look at the sunsets, which are spectacular. And the difference between the summer, the fall, and the winter, when you can see through the trees, or you're in and amongst the leaves as they're changing, or you're in the tunnel of the foliage in the middle of the summer. It's spectacular. And as somebody who's always loved to get outdoors and loves to go to the national park, I've got one in my backyard. And I love to share that with other people. So I spend a lot of time maintaining trails, and I absolutely, hands down, give credit to all those people. Mr. Cross, who does like the mountain bike trails around here. I mean, kudos. It's not easy work.
No, it's not. I know Ben's done a lot, and it's not easy
Yeah.
work at all.
Yeah.
Oh, and absolutely. So thank you to all those people that maintain trails. So we're just doing a small bit of it here, but we hope that again, it just gives people an appetite teaser to say, here's just right in your backyard if you want to get a little warm-up hike. And we've had some people that have come and said, thank you for, we did Twin Arches the other day, and whew, that was kind of rough. Or going out to Cumberland Falls, out to the Eagle Falls Trail, and they're like, that was harder than I expected, but it was very rewarding. But I just need to stretch my legs a little bit more. Do you mind if we hike your trail? By all means, that's what it's here for. And we still imagine what can be done. We were grateful to the city for removing on one spot of land an old water tower that had been there. And again, somebody else would come along and say, oh, there's a water tower, never mind, that's an eyesore. We worked with the town, and Mayor Lay was very generous to say, all right, look, if you come in and invest the kind of money you're talking about to rebuild this place and bring this back to our community, we will work with you to have it removed. And it's gone now. And so now we have a beautiful vista out the back and a new flat area to imagine what else we can do there. So we've thought about outdoor concert series to bring music and live entertainment here. Bring the food trucks up to feed the folks. I keep looking at my hillside up there and I see a zip line. Maybe one day she'll let me do a zip line. But I mean,
Oh my gosh.
if you had a 3,000 foot zip line scooting across over to Bear Creek, it would be fantastic. But
I'm definitely the wrong person. I'm like, go.
Yes.
Come on, be that person. So, well, I tell you what, I mean, this place is absolutely beautiful. And again, you've kind of given it back to Scott County as a gift. And you've opened the doors in such a way that it is usable for most of the community. And I know that we're not the main customer, but the fact that you included us, I think that speaks volumes.
But we wanted something that bridged, again, people coming to visit the area for the first time. We get a lot of people that grew up in this area that like to come back and visit friends and family. They maybe don't necessarily, want to stay and, with friends and family, or maybe there's not room for them anymore, but they still like to visit.
So even the inside is for the local community. We've had,
Right.
a lot of the names
Right, to
and
come
families
back,
that
yeah.
have stayed here.
But we wanted it to be, outward facing, but also inward facing as well. And again, that's been a dream that, daily we're seeing that realized. And it's been it's fun and it's gratifying. And, it's been a lot of hard work, and it's been the pain of renovation is slowly starting to fade away because that is an arduous and a painful process, no matter how you slice it. But I guess now I can say it was worth it. Yeah, it was, yeah, because this is kind of how we always envisioned it. And what's been funny is that the people, you know, yourself included, they were like, oh, well, good luck with that. You know, a lot of people at the beginning that were a little bit more skeptical as we neared completion, you know, have come back and said, oh, this is what you know, had envisioned. And now they get it.
Well, what I really enjoy is, I mean, there's been an influx of people that have moved to the area, or people from the area who have built gorgeous homes, and they've and worked it into nature. They've used the materials from around here. They've maybe used logs, other fantastic designs. But you can just only see them from the roadside, and maybe only in the winter because they're behind trees. But this gorgeous building that was here, and it had been offices, is now, like you say, something for the community to come back and be part of. This is everybody's. It's a public space. We're hoping to invite as many people, you know, for reasons to come up here. It's a business. We hope to make money to do this as well, but we're off to a good start. And we think we're going to be able to grow and work with our community and share this beautiful building. It was so fun. We had people that came and did prom pictures last year while we were in the middle of construction. We had dusted off one piece of the fire mantelpiece, and they huddled up next to it and took pictures, knowing that it was a beautiful spot, and they were like, this is going to be great. This year, they came back and did it again, and they just said, I don't even know where to set up the camera. There's just so many beautiful places that you can set up, and it's been very rewarding.
And I heard some of your, and I know that there's some things you all got planned, and those you'll be announcing those later on in the year. But there's ways that you're going to keep bringing the community up and opening this up for the community, families, and you know, just all kinds of things that you, Michelle, are saying is conservative enough that we can do this.
Yes, we can do. Yes, we can do this.
We're gonna zip line. Well, I need to get down to the mailbox sometimes. I need to zip line down that way.
But there's ways, and I'm really excited for you all. But I'm really excited for the community as well. And then just the fact that you all are such team leaders. You're at all of our events, or you're at our chamber meetings, trying to help us plan for the future and guide. So. Just thank you all so much. Thank you for coming home. Ralph, we accept you, I guess. You're
I know, but
on a daily basis, he gets the,
Well, hopefully I'm not rubbing people the wrong way too.
Yeah.
No. And it's really nice though that you appreciate the heritage and the history of Scott County, and you got to see the world and got a different set of eyes to come back and look at us, and then you believed in us to come back. I mean, I think that speaks volumes about Scott County and her people, that it's just, we were worth coming home to. So.
Absolutely. And sometimes it takes going out and seeing other things to realize what you've got. And I think that there's so much opportunity here, and this is such a jewel. And again, you know, we have a national park in our backyard, and I think when you grow up here, sometimes we just take that for granted. And
I know you do. I speak to your father as I drive James Walker around every now and again, and I'll just come around a corner and just be awestruck and say, James, do you even appreciate this view anymore? And he kind of looks up and says, what view? What are you talking about? I said, well, that's where I grew up on that mountain over there. That's not a view. And you know, y'all don't know how good you have it until you see some of the other places. There's a reason a lot of people want to come here, and it doesn't have to be that they're going to come in and change things. I think the beauty of what is Scott County and the region is what's drawing people, and I think the people that are coming appreciate it and want to live in it, not change it. And I think, you know, together with other partners in the chamber, I look very much forward to helping develop productive tourism, not destructive tourism, and to have us all work together in ways that we can all be ambassadors for this wonderful place and share it.
And that's been, you know, the number one goal is to be ambassadors to anybody that is.
Yeah, I'm still looking for a deputy position within the visitor center, because we're the northern regions of the county. So as we get people come in, I just want to be officially, you know, sanctioned as a deputy visitor guide.
Yeah. Actually, the Park Service won't even let me have one of those. So sorry. Well,
he just wants the hat.
I do
really.
want that. I always wanted the little Smokey the Bear.
Yeah.
The Park Service that reminds me daily. Do not let them think you're a park ranger, because you are not. Okay. Well, thank you all so much. I know you've got a big, I think you've got a family coming in.
We've got a big group coming in this
Family
weekend,
and-
family and people that are coming through that are enjoying
Two families.
Yeah, two different families. Yeah, we got a group that's coming in that's enjoying their motorcycles on Highway 27 and some of the surrounding areas. So yeah, we've got a couple of groups coming in. So I think we've got a full house this weekend.
Thank you all for sitting down with us, Rob. I'm gonna root you on for that good time, buddy. I mean, yes, and I heard some of your other dreams too, and I'm not even gonna talk about that yet.
3D archery. 3D archery is a good one. Yes, I do. So
Poor Michelle's like,
another
oh,
shout out,
no.
Shane Cross. Shane Cross is my neighbor, my friend, my excavator, and a bow hunter. And so he's been talking me into maybe setting up a 3D archery range out here.
Absolutely. He's also a dedicated Chamber of Commerce member too, so yay for Shane.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Most of the people that you've worked with are, so that's a networking partnership there. So
Well, wrangle in some extra investors.
That's
Maybe
right.
maybe I'll talk.
Hey,
Start talking
okay,
about
there
it.
you go. All right. Well, anything else that do you all have anything that you feel like we didn't cover that you and I did?
Gosh, there's we could go on for hours. It's been such a joy every time somebody comes to visit. We don't mind giving tours because every corner of this property, I won't even just say the building, but the whole property just is filled with history, filled with journey that we've been on with people here. That's just been so much fun to share. And I just encourage anybody that's not been up here to come by, give us a call. Our website, timberrocklodge.com, is going to be live very shortly. You can follow us on Facebook or
And
Instagram at timberrocklodge.com for all the latest and greatest. But like I say, just be on the lookout. We're looking to have our own events. I think one of the most exciting ones that we're talking about is maybe we're thinking of calling it Date Night at Timber Rock Lodge, where maybe on a monthly basis we will set ourselves up as a sit-down romantic type dinner with entertainment, where we will invite local area chefs to come in and prepare a meal, pre-sell it out, have people come and have a sit-down dinner, romantic or otherwise. You can bring friends, it doesn't matter. Where we hope to have the dining experience that people go out of their way to drive all the way to Knoxville or to Somerset or even Nashville to go out to dinner. We want to bring that restaurant experience here without us being a full-fledged restaurant, because we don't have enough restaurant experience to say that we could pull it off.
We have no business.
By that I mean
running a
none.
restaurant.
Yeah, no restaurant experience other than we've been
Okay,
there.
you tried to imply we have a little bit.
I've eaten at restaurants.
No.
I like restaurants. So anyway, so we hope that that's something that we can again bring to the community. It's going to be Italian night, it'll be Indian night, it'll be Thai food night, it'll be clue board, murder mystery night seasonally, Valentine's dinners, Mother's Day weekends, all those kinds of highlights we hope to be able to bring people here and to be able to enjoy it and spice up their lives a little bit, right? Complement the list of restaurants that we already
I
have.
see my to-do list just getting bigger.